Coming in hot, 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 Lisa shares her financial tips and strategies to build wealth, have fun with finances, and be debt-free without having a restrictive budget. From bankrupt to millionaire, Lisa knows what it's like to feel as if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Her unconventional money multiplier system is the very wealth protocol that enabled her to retire 2.5 years early, pay down $100,000 of debt in 6 months, and move to her dream home at the beach. Hey, welcome to this episode of I Date Money. I'm your hostess, Lisa Drennon, and today we have another special guest. I love it. We're having lots of guests on the show, and everyone has such a beautiful experience to share with you all with their own personal and entrepreneurial money story. Today, we have the beautiful Tina Kadish, business coach, author, speaker. Okay, look at all these things. From job to joy. I love that because so many people think that, oh, I have to go to work. No, it should be fun. It should bring you joy, right? She offers tools and strategies to help individuals discover their passion, live their purpose, and create prosperity in their life. She has over 20 years experience in the corporate world as a talent acquisition strategist and a training and development professional. She is also the author of Freedom, and now Freedom is an acronym, 7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business and From Pain to Peace, a mother's heartbreaking journey through losing a child. As a business coach, she empowers newer, inspiring female entrepreneurs to create a successful business that brings them joy, freedom, and prosperity. That's so beautiful. Her mission is to empower women to maximize their potential, find freedom, and live more purposefully. So thank you, Tina, so much for sharing this space. We're so happy to hear all about your money journey, your story. And I just am curious. I know we've talked before about this, but our audience is hearing it for the first time. What is the acronym for Freedom? What is this 7 steps all about?
Well, that's great. Thank you so much again for having me here today, Lisa. This is great. So freedom, my book on freedom really came from me on how do I find freedom in my own journey. And so I created this book, and the 7 steps are faith, release, evaluation, energy, determination, optimism, and mindset. That I feel that those are really the critical steps on how we can achieve freedom in our life. And it's really a lot of it is overcoming those barriers, our inner barriers to why we're not able to achieve what we want to achieve in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thought in that book.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And, with freedom comes so many different things, and it can mean so many. When people hear the word freedom, I imagine an image comes into their mind of what that means for them in their life. Because so many things tether us and keep us like we're in a cage, especially finances, right? Money. I hear lots of entrepreneurs, lots of individuals who are working a 9 to 5. They all, regardless of their income, they all have the same thought. Will there be enough money for me? Is there going to be enough? And we almost get into the scarcity mindset of, oh, I'm afraid to spend money because of this. So how have you personally integrated freedom into your relationship with money?
Yes, that's a very good question because I came from growing up with the scarcity mindset. I was raised in a family where money was the root of all evil. There's never enough money. We were a middle income family. My mother was a stay-at-home. My dad was the primary breadwinner. And Italian immigrants. I was the oldest of 3 girls. And I was the one that was the responsible, and I was the one that had to know it all, and being the one that my sisters could look up to. But money was always around. It was always worrying about money. And my parents always taught that got to save for a rainy day, which I do agree with saving. I do. I think all of us, and I call it an emergency fund, I call it whatever you want to call it. I think we do need to be intentional with our money. That's the thing. Instead of being, reactive, like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I just got to do this. Well, have we been intentional? Mm-hmm. Do we, so when we say save for a rainy day, my dad would always say that, I would always think about, okay, it's good to save, but we're always coming from that we're not going to have enough. And that's why we need to save. We're never going to have enough. And so I was always with that mindset that there's never going to be enough money. Only the rich get richer. That was another thing that I had that belief. Money was the root of all evil. No, it's not money the root of all evil. It's what do we do with the money?
Mm-hmm.
See, money is what? It's a piece of paper. It's, what does money give us? Well,
Mm-hmm.
for me, when we have money, I think it gives us choices. It gives us the security. And it also allows us to help others. What impact can we make, with our money? So it's what we do with our money that I think is so important. So for me, I've had to do a shift in my own mindset that coming from abundance versus scarcity. So I surrounded myself with people that taught me about money and the mindset. And this is why, in my book, I talk about mindset, and I ended it with mindset because in my book, I talk about money and how the fear keeps us from, the choices that we make with our money and with our life in general. And so for me, the relationship with money was scarcity for sure, but now I have that belief that money will come. I don't know how, but because I'm intentional and every day I take action and believe in my value, believe in my gifts and talents, and I just having faith, because that's really my first step in freedom is I believe in myself. I have that faith that it's going to be taken care of. But I have to do the work. I'm not going to just sit there and do nothing either.
Yeah. And so many, like, we hear manifestation being thrown out. Well, just manifest that. Well, okay, let's set the intention. Yes, but let's take the action, because part of manifestation is the action steps and having a system in place to help you get there. So what's your favorite way to manage your money so that it multiplies?
Well, for me, I track everything. I also work with a financial advisor. I look at I have goals. All right. So I have income goals. I have, I know what my expenses are every month. I know what my income goal is for my business every month, every quarter. And I look at it and then I evaluate, okay, let me look at my money now and see, okay, what am I doing? But I look at it from, every day I set an intention. Okay, what are the goals that I want to set out to manifest, to go out there and get more money? What can I do today? What value can I provide? What activities can I do? Action. It's all about action. So my goal is, every day, 5 to 10 actions a day of activities that are income revenue. Revenue producing activities.
Right.
What are things that I'm going to do today that can bring in that income? And I track on Excel. For me, I'm an Excel user. I track everything. That's the system that I use. Having systems is so powerful. It really is. It really is.
Well, yeah, it is like, in my program, we have the wealth activation roadmap, which is a system, and it's a simple, Keynote Excel sheet where you can look at it, you can open it up. And some of my ladies like to use a journal. So everyone gets a money journal when they join the program. But, and in this journal, we actually record our thoughts and what is it about money, write letters to money and things like that. But a lot of the girls like to draw out their map in pictures because they're very creative and use that. And one of my clients has a treasure map. She calls it her treasure map. So every week she dates money. She goes on this treasure map or treasure hunt and looks for like, okay, how did money multiply? Like, where is it coming in? And, doing all the rest of the things that we do with our money when we date it each week. And it's really changed the rewiring the programming, because so many of the things, I haven't met one person who was taught finances growing up. My grandmother taught me about finances when I was a little girl. She taught me how to save and how to tithe, to give away money and the importance of that. And she was really good with money, but most people are like, no, talking about money is taboo. And they grew up in a household where there was this scarcity mindset. I have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. And, no, you can't have this. And when you think about that, we in our subconscious, all these thoughts come to play. So really thinking about our thoughts when it comes to money, it's the most powerful tool we have. And thinking, okay, what can I do differently? So I know a lot of entrepreneurs. I had a phone call earlier with a woman who's overspending her income. She made $1 million and has nothing to show for it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's like, why? And it has nothing to do with not knowing how to crunch the numbers. It has to do with this void. So in your experience, when you first started the journey, did you have a disconnect that way where you were like, oh, money's kind of getting out of control here? Like, why do I have debt? Like, why am I overspending? Did you ever experience anything like that?
Yes, yes. And there was a time in my life I had a huge credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even spending it on business. I was spending it on personal things because I felt good. I wanted it. I saw it. I wanted it and I bought it. Well, I incurred a lot of debt. And I think a lot of times there's a thing called emotional spending. You go
Right.
out and there's a void that you want to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so then again, do we need it? Because my dad used to always say, do you really need that? Think about it. Or do you want it? Well, do we really need another pair of shoes? No, I want those pair of shoes. I feel good. Okay, I deserve them, right? However, you have to look at, like you were sharing about this woman, you have to look at, okay, this is what I have right now. Okay, where's my money going? I have to watch where my money is going too. And it's not coming from a scarcity. We have to, again, know where our money is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for me, yeah, I think a lot of times our thoughts are like, well, I need that, I want it, I think I deserve that. Now I'm all about celebrating yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to go out and get myself that today. Or let's say I'm going to spend more money on a pedicure. This is something that I've done. I'll spend more money on a pedicure, a higher level, because I say, you know what, I deserve it. Do I do it every week, every two? No, I don't. But I think celebrating our wins, when we have a win, I think it's good to celebrate ourselves. I think it really helps us. It boosts our mood. And just, I think we do deserve it for
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Celebrating the wins and focusing on the abundance, giving thanks is so important. And you had mentioned the fact of we have to track our money. I like to say we get to,
We get to,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Because when you think about it, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it, and that's my tagline. And the reason why is because since 1987, working with, thousands of people in finance and insurance, everyone, regardless if they were multimillionaires or if they didn't have a dime to their name, they were so worried about money. And it's like, if you just put a systems in place that works with you, that's aligned with your values. And you mentioned buckets. I love the money buckets. When you set the
Yes.
goal, the intention. So I have my clients every month, we set the intention, like, what are your 3 top goals for the month of July? And then we actually reverse engineer it and draw it out and focus on that, and then create action steps, daily action steps to take to meet those goals. And it's really a beautiful process. It gets you into the habit of dating money and saying, like, we're best friends, we're partners, we're doing this together. And so many ladies get really anxious about, oh, this is too overwhelming, it's too much. And it's really like, what is that? You would mention emotional spending. And that's that emotions come through. So the thoughts create this feeling. And most
Yes.
people just kind of ignore it. Like, no, I don't have time for that. I don't know. And then it comes out sideways. Then we get tired, we get headaches, we get backaches, and then we go and spend. And it just makes you feel better. So there's like this cycle. What would you recommend for somebody to break that cycle using your freedom process?
Well, for me, I think, again, it's writing down. For me, what's helped me is writing down, okay, why, asking myself questions like, why am I doing this? Like, where is this coming from? Really identifying again, what is the thought that I'm having? What is that feeling I'm having? I'm all about the whole mindset model that I teach, is the thoughts, the feelings, the actions equals the results. So when you look at results, go back to your thoughts.
Right.
What are you thinking about money? And I love the I date my money concept because it's something that my own business coach had said to me years ago. It's dating our money. It's treating our money, well, not resenting it, not being anxious, not hating it, not avoiding it. Like those bills, I remember years ago, not opening up a bill because I said, oh, I know I can't pay it, so I'm not going to open it. You gotta address it. You gotta still pay your bills. So that was something years ago, and I was having a debt. I was like, oh my God. So it's really, for me, what's helped is really writing down, what is my feeling right now? Why am I doing what I'm doing? But it's really, again, knowing where your money is, having those systems. I love the action, the buckets. And I love what you were just sharing a few minutes ago about what are your goals for the month? What are things that you want to do? And reverse engineer it. Like, for example, my family and I are going to Italy in September. You need money with that, right? So what are we doing? We're planning. I'm looking at my money. Where am I going to get this money from to pay for this? Okay. So we're being intentional, not like, oh no, I'm never going to go to Italy because I don't have the money. No, we're going to have it.
Go. Yeah.
We get to go. We get to go.
And setting it
We
up. Like
deserve
I
it.
have clients that will set up their vacations, their travel plans on December 31st. They'll wake up in the morning, they're like, okay, let's plan the next year. What are we going to do? What buckets do we want to create? And creating a bucket
Yes.
each month, and whether it be a weekend excursion or, we tend to be creatures of habit. So we tend to like to do things certain times. I know every August, my family and I had gone to the beach. Now we live at the beach, so we don't have to plan a beach vacation anymore because it's right here.
Right.
I'm always on
Exactly.
vacation. It's awesome. Every day's a vacation. And and I think we have it on our bucket list to go to Europe. And originally we were going to go in September, and we got some issues with some my mother-in-law has Alzheimer's, and we're nervous. Like if we go, she might pass away, and then what happens? And it's like, okay, life is too short to think that way, but when you have a partner, a spouse that has this thought, like, well, I'm going to be gone for 15 days and maybe I should wait until the spring and maybe it'll be better. And it's like, okay, so who knows? The intent is to go in September, but we'll see what happens. But setting the intent and then filling that bucket up, right? And
Yes.
allocating, like, Dave Ramsey says, every dollar has a job. And so many people don't know what their monthly income is, let alone what their expenses are, or
I
they're
know.
paying for their expenses. So creating this map, this portfolio that you get to see, like, oh, this is where it's going. And asking yourself, is this a need or is this the want? When you were younger, because we're not all perfect with money. I mean, I date money. We get into fights. Sometimes we do the
Yes.
silent treatment. Sometimes we're like hugging and kissing. Other times I'm like, where are you? Why are you late? Why'd you make me wait till the last minute? What's going on here? So
Yep.
earlier in your life, I mean, what was the very first time you met money? How old were you? And what was that experience like?
Oh, I met money when I was 16. And because, no, actually before that, I had a newspaper route. I also worked 2 jobs in the summer. One was a secretary and one was working in a library. I was always looking because I was always motivated by money, because again, remember, money was scarce in our household. I got the clothes that my dad and my mom told me to buy, but I didn't have choices. So when I started working, that's my first taste of freedom because I got a paycheck. I got to see money. I got to say, oh, I'm going to go buy that pair of pants. I'm going to do that. And I feel good because I deserve it. So I've always been motivated by money. I've always gone to jobs. Okay, that makes more money. That makes more money. But I wasn't looking at the quality of it. I was going only after the money. Not a great thing to do until I got laid off from the corporate world for the first time. It was taken away from me. And that's when I started my business because I started really researching what did I want to do with my life. And I got the taste of freedom. And that's why my book came from that, is that taste. When I got laid off is when I realized I love this freedom. I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be told what to do. And I don't want to go into an office every day and being micromanaged and contributing my ideas. And then they walk away with my ideas. And so I really wanted to be in the driver's seat. I didn't no longer wanted to be that follower. So yeah, my first taste was around 14 to 16 when I started getting that money.
So how would you describe your relationship with money when you were first introduced to money?
I would just spend what I had, spend, never saved, just spend it because I liked it. I wanted it and I felt I deserved it. And so I was not respecting money. Something that my coach has taught me too in the past is you got to respect your money. How do you treat your money? Just as simple as in your wallet. taking, if you have any dollars. Okay, now I know we're a plastic environment and we use everything debit, credit, but when I have singles, whatever I have, it's laid out nice and neat. My pocketbook is neat. Everything is neat. I respect my money. Okay, and that's something that I've been taught that. And because I've worked with other people that have been money coaches. My business coach, she taught a lot about money concepts, and it's respecting your money, dating your money, treating your money good. Date it really well, because, and then you wonder why money's not coming to you. Why are we not attracting money? Well, how are we respecting it or not? And that's the thing. So how are we going to get more if what we have, we're not even, excuse me, we're not even respecting it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad that one of your coaches had taught you that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
miss that concept, or we fall back into old patterns because it's easy, like, especially if finances isn't your zone of genius. And that's why it's so important to hire a money coach like myself or someone that you connect with, because you want, as a business owner, a creative, you want to create and draw in money. You want to focus your time on sales and launches, not on the back end of, okay, what monthly subscription got canceled, who missed a payment, and all of that. I mean, there's so many intricacies in our operating expenses that we really want to optimize that so that our money multiplies. And then as the entrepreneur, we want to be able to say, oh, I got that taken care of. My money coach is working with me. And, like and my bookkeeper does all these little different, like tracking and reports for my accountant. And, having that, like, so many people want to build a team out. And I'm like, okay, so when you think about building your team, make sure your money operations procedures is completely in place, especially when you're first starting out. When you can set up your business portfolio, cut yourself that paycheck, create these money buckets, as you grow and you scale, that system is going to be in place, and it should be very simple. I mean, the systems I help create for entrepreneurs take less than it does for them to launch. And it's such a simple method. They look at me like, this is it. I'm like, this is it. These are the
steps. And you make a valid point, because I work with new entrepreneurs. They're starting a business. Okay. But do you know where your money, how to manage your money? Do you have that in place? And I teach them about systems as well. And getting your account, like having a separate account for your business and your personal account, having the two. That's something that I've been taught myself. You want to have your money separate.
Yeah. And it's a must for the tax purposes. You need to, you don't get to, you need to. It is a requirement to have your business expenses separate. I remember working at Social Security Administration, and entrepreneurs would come in and I would go through all their finances. I'm like, where's your business checking account? Oh, it goes into my personal checking account. No, you go leave here, go across the street to the bank and come back, because we don't combine our funds. And they're like, well, why not? I go, because it's an IRS rule that you have to have a tracking of your business expenses. If you're intermingling it with your personal expenses, okay, one, you're not respecting money. And two, there's no distinct way for you to properly get credit for your business expenses, because you're commingling everything. And they're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs don't understand that concept, because the amount of the money is so small. And in their mind, well, it's only X amount of dollars. I can very well, but that's not the purpose. You want to establish this in the right when you start off. One of my clients just lost her 9 to 5, and she's moving into the entrepreneurial world. And we had a conversation before this call about it. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And and she's taking her notes, and she's like, okay, what bank do you recommend? We talked about the different banks that she can use, creating the buckets that are appropriate for the business account, cutting that paycheck and transferring all over, and sense of relief she had. And I love it, because she's an accountant by nature. And she's like, I didn't know any of this.
Wow.
Because someone's an accountant or a bookkeeper, that's a total different ball game than a money coach. So as a wealth activator, I help my clients multiply their money, but creating a system and having a place. And I was a treasurer for 3 not-for-profits for many, many years. And I was talking to a bookkeeper I had interviewed on the show, And I was kind of like, what do you need a bookkeeper for? Like, why are people spending money on a bookkeeper? Well, one, they don't want to do the back end, which is totally cool. But I didn't understand how a bookkeeper or an accountant multiplies your money. And I learned they don't. They track your money and they'll point things out to you that says, hey, you know, you've spent a lot of money in this area. You might want to take a look at that. Whereas I'm going to look at it and say, okay, where's your budget to zero? This is what we're going to do. Like, okay, I'm just going to take the Band-Aid off. Straightforward shooter. This is what we're going to do. You want to maximize your earnings? Let's go over here. Let's look at what kind of an investor are you? Okay. And like, I'm not a financial advisor, but I work with one that I refer my clients to who does a beautiful job setting up, you know, their portfolio for their future. So, you know, like I suggest things that I personally will do, because if I do them, then it's, you know, I have try and true methods for over 30 years. And that's just so important. And people think, well, when I do this, when I do that, then I'm going to put this in place. No, put it in place from the get-go. So it sounds like what you teach in your program. So tell us more about your program and who you work with specifically, and what's the best way to get in touch with you.
Okay, yeah. So I work with new or aspiring entrepreneurs who want to leave that 9 to 5 and want to start a business. So I help them with their business blueprint and really creating their framework, the structure. And, you know, one of the things that I teach them is creating a vision for their business. What is their value proposition? Who's their perfect client going to be? How do they communicate that? What is their marketing messaging to them? So I really help them create that blueprint, business plan, whatever you want to call it, to really get them set up. And so part of that plan is setting up the foundations. These are the foundations that you're sharing here today, are from the beginning, setting your systems in place, those processes in place, you know, building a team. You know, I encourage them, like when you're hiring a team, something I've learned, having standard operating procedures. Don't just hire a virtual assistant and think they're going to just know what to do. No, you have to teach them. You have to have procedures in place so that they know what to do. Something that I've had to learn, and I learned it the hard way because I assumed that they would know what to do, especially if they were an expert in that area. No, they weren't. So when I set up procedures, written procedures, they now get it, and they've been doing a great job for me. And so these are all part of entrepreneurship. So these are things that I've learned, and I share them with my clients. So yeah, someone that just got laid off, wants to reinvent themselves. They might have been, you know, in a career for a long time, and they're like, I'm stuck, I'm unhappy, I'm unfulfilled right now. I just don't know what I want to do with my career. Because, you know, I have experience in recruiting. So if somebody wants to look for a job, that's not my primary, but my primary is really helping women getting their business up and running. You know, are those new ones, newbies.
Yeah, the brand newbies. Yeah, I did
that. The brand new one.
That was my second niche. Client attention. Yeah, for brand new entrepreneurs ready to launch.
Ready to launch. And that's why I help.
To get ready to launch, I should say, because they had nothing. They never even had a client before. So that's a beautiful place to be as a coach, and really having someone solid like yourself that's going to implement these SOPs, the systems, operation procedures, so that it becomes simple and fun. Because you should not, you know, my husband's like, oh, do you have to work today? And I'm like, no, I don't have to work. I don't work. Like, that sounds like a dirty word. I get to go do my job and have fun. And it's not really a job to me, because it's my passion. It's my gifts and talents being utilized for the mission that I have.
Exactly.
And it changes it. And when I had struggled through the different niches, when I first started out, imposter syndrome and not feeling worthy to be a financial coach, I was everything else. I was a health and fitness coach. I was a client attraction coach. I was a coach for women post-abortion. And I'm like, I don't like any of these things. No. And now I know what I love. And it's like, where have I been? And just really knowing that, and you with that freedom formula help the ladies, I'm assuming you just work with a woman, get into that nitty gritty and really connect with their gifts and talents so that they can serve in a way that is joy filled, that does that sense of peace, so that when they are in their business, and there's those days, because we all know as entrepreneurs, there's those roller coaster days, and it's like, why isn't this working? Focus on what really is working. What's the best way for our audience to get connected with you?
So on my website, from jobtojoy.com, I have 2 great free offers that people can take advantage of. I have a 5-step exit strategy from your corporate career. And I also have the must-have essentials of a business plan that are available there. And plus all my other resources are there on my website. And, you know, your listeners take a look there, and there's a lot of videos there, as well as my programs that I offer. But because I really can help you get from where you are here in your career to starting a business. And it's not just starting that business, it's we have to do the inner work. And my freedom, 7-step freedom path is really getting them to do that inner work.
Yeah.
That is so important.
It is so important because as an entrepreneur, you are the CEO of you and your company is you. There's no separation. So having that inner work first and foremost and instilling that and practicing it every day, that's what's going to help you multiply your money in addition to dating money weekly. So thank you so much, Tina. What words of wisdom would you like to share with our guests as we part?
Is, you know, believe in yourself. Know that you have value. You can do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Take action today. Whatever that action is, it could be a very small thing, but fuel your soul, follow your passion, and the money will come.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank
sharing
you,
your
Lisa.
time and your energy here with our audience. And for those of you listening, check the show notes for the links. Be sure to connect with Tina. Go grab her freebies on her website, especially if you're a brand new entrepreneur. And if you're ready thinking, I don't like my 9-to-5, I want to be my own CEO, go check it out. And if you're looking for help with wealth activation, let's chat. Remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's what you do with it. And hey, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to rate the show, give us some love. We would love your review. And remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's what you do with it. And some words of advice, pay yourself first. Are you ready to partner with money? Go check out the money dating game at idatemoney.com and choose your partner. We hope you always get the date you want.